Zlatan not say something about him as well in Sweden? The fact of he was quite cocky and arrogant, but he's actually now starting to perform on the park, so that he's actually kind of getting away with the fact that he can be quite cocky and arrogant about the place.
Is it not a bit strange for a guy to go out on loan and a former teammate, if you like, is trying to calm him down? I don't really see the need for it.
No, well, I think the point is, as Ciaran said there, he's still young, and I think he's just a very excitable guy. He's a guy who wants to be, if he joins a club, I mean, what he did at Feyenoord, clearly what he wants to do is when he joins a club, he wants to become part of the culture, if you will.
I think it's to tame the arrogance. Yeah. I think that's what he's trying to do.
That's my worry, is that James Milner's saying that because he's obviously talking to his pals, and if he's telling them to not get too carried away, I mean, he is ambitious, which is fair enough. The boy wants to play at the highest level he can, and that's no Scotland. So I think he's came to Scotland and thought it's a great opportunity to play a lot of games and do well. It's obviously going very well. I still think his the first chance to get back down the road and have a chance of playing first team football. Well, it's not going to be Man City, but whatever it is, I think he would probably take that, and it's maybe more to do with his ego.
Well, this comes down to the age old debate. What would you rather do? Would you rather play in Europe with Celtic or play mid table with Stoke? I mean, the thing that might go in Celtic's favour of being able to keep him is that he spent time at Stoke and it didn't work out for him. So if you're looking at Stoke, because he's not been linked with the top clubs, he's not been linked with an Arsenal, he's not Arsenal fucking top clubs, you know what I mean?
Marseille.
Well, Marseille, that's
a strong link, aren't they?
Well, that's the thing, because a team like Marseille, but then again, Bielsa's probably going to leave in the summer, so you've got a little bit more upheaval. These are things he probably doesn't take into consideration. He'll probably just look at the stature of the club, and I don't blame him for that. But there is a chance Bielsa will leave, so a bit more instability. I don't know if I think we'll probably be able to pay more wages than Marseille. To be honest, and Marseille don't pay that high in wages, so we might have that going for us.
If he does sign in, fair play to the guy. Obviously, I would be very happy and very excited. But at the same time, I can't imagine him signing a kind of a 3, 4, 5-year contract. I don't see it being like that. I think he might sign for maybe a 2-year deal or something like that. But
it doesn't matter the length, I don't think, because ultimately
there's no reason for him not to.
I know, but the worst thing, the worst thing for a football fan is to really kind of growing close to a player and he becomes an idol and then he leaves, and there's more chance of this guy doing it sooner.
Louis,
that's a club.
That's a great point. Sermanni compared to leveling off and never lost it.
But Dyler revealed the fees being agreed, so it's just.
Well, that's the point we're going to get. The deal's been agreed with Manchester City. Whether it happens or not, I don't know. We'll see. But you see this whole thing about getting attached to a player, you're going to have to get over that, because we're not going to be. If a player has one season now, it appears a season and a half, maybe 2 seasons, they're going to be off. See the way we had Larsson for 6 years or whatever.
I'm not fucking daft, but at the same time.
Jesus, calm down.
No, but at the same time, it's impossible for football fans, especially at Celtic, not to. That is what we all. Well, I think that's what the majority of fans want. They want someone that. It has been a long time since Celtic have had a figure like that they can really fucking go mental for,
all comes down to, for me personally, all comes down to we should be producing our own players. If you produce your own players, you're more likely to have them for 4 or 5 years. Then you can thingy. So produce your own players, and then we'll see. Because John Guidetti's only 22, 23. He does have the best years. I'm actually starting to agree with Chris now. I think he might actually stay. I think we might sign him, because I think he'll think to himself, I could stay here for 2 years, leave at 24, maybe have a couple of titles, and then I'll go and try my hand in mediocre England to try and get my way up. Anyway, Ciaran, just final thoughts on the game on Saturday. Was it just one of those? Actually, Commons.
Oh, he was. They said he set up the goal. It was a corner, so or a free kick, but he was out of the game. He was quiet. I just don't think he could get any space to get on the ball. One thing I noticed, I don't know if the tension's starting to get between the players, because once or twice there was a couple of players proper arguing with each other. I think it was Johansson and Denny in the first half, and it was almost similar. Well, at one point, I don't know, but the angle looked like it was going to be similar to the Boric and Mahi. No, not Mahi. Naylor, sorry. When I almost come to blows.
Jesus Christ.
And then I think also Cahill and McGregor later on in the second half, it was just proper getting at each other.
Yeah.
So I don't know if the strain of performance and pressure now is really now starting to crack with the players.
Is immense.
Just to go back, Boric and Mahi would have been a cracking fight.
Oh, I don't know.
Somebody would have died during that fight, I think. I'd like to see that.
Chris, Sermanni, I'm pointing at you. Commons. We've been quite vocal. Well, actually, I don't know what everyone's opinion is. We've talked about it briefly, but Commons, I think we're playing better without him. I would let him go. Do you? I mean,
I agree. I think he slows the play down a lot. We've been saying it quite a bit on the podcast throughout the season. We always had the caveat of his goals and stuff like that, and he's still got that in his locker. But as we've said before, you're playing him in the hope he'll get a goal, But his general build-up play and stuff like that, really, it doesn't merit a place in the team, nor the style that Dyla wants to implement.
Yeah.
One of the things that I dislike so much about Mulgrew in the centre midfield area is that he slows the play down as well. I think Commons is just as guilty, and I think we look better when the two of them aren't playing because of their stature and the importance, if you will. Like Mulgrew's the vice captain and Commons has been our main goal threat for the last season. Because of their stature at the club, I think sometimes Dyla plays him when he shouldn't, but personally I'd be happy to see both of them go. And I think Commons might go. I think you always look down to Bolton now with Lennon there, and I think that would be a good fit for him.
I think we maybe sometimes get criticised in this podcast for almost not looking judging. I would personally, like you said there, I judge people on how they're performing. Now, there's a lot of nostalgia that is connected with Celtic in terms of what players have done. Celtic are trying to go through a revolution, if you will, in terms of style of play. We aren't saying that Chris Commons is a bad footballer. Not at all. None of us are saying that. What we're saying is the style and the change at the club means that he won't fit into that. And what's more important, the club or a player? There seems to be a large outcry when you criticise guys like Mulgrew and guys like Commons. You're forgetting what they've done. We're not forgetting what they've done. Chris Commons, been terrific servant for Celtic. We got him for £300,000, similar to Lubo. Terrific, but we're not saying that all of his stuff in the past is now pointless and we're devaluing. What we're saying is Celtic need to evolve. Am I right, Chris? Or would you agree in that there's a certain level of this can't criticise players?
Yeah, definitely. And there's a good reason for that. Chris Commons was pretty much the best player in Scotland last year. He was our top goal scorer. Without him, we would have been in a much worse position. Now, as you say, I don't think he fits the system. If any sort of money is offered for him, I think you have to take it. He's still a very good player technically, but he's just not performing. I think we've seen it the weekend again as well with Johansson. When he's having to drop back, it doesn't work for him. He's an attacking player, and he needs to be further forward to get the best out of him, which is he's a great player when we get that.
I mean, Johansson's basically taking Chris Commons' place in the team. If Commons isn't playing, Johansson's being pushed up, and he's playing better being pushed up. I said it to you at the weekend. See, when he sits, he's dreadful. When he's pushing forward and he's driving forward. Do you agree with that, Ciaran?
Yeah, I was going to say, because once Chris Commons went off, Johansson pushed forward, and Johansson and Guidetti started to get in a bit of a wavelength. There was a couple of nice 1-2s, and they kind of seemed to be aware of each other, where each other was. And the fitness level of Johansson seems to be there, because there was at one point, like the 85th minute, when he made I think it was a Boston one when he was almost 1-on-1, and the ball was around about him. You could see him put his hand up saying, "No, boys, not me now. I'm just knackered."
Yeah.
But within about 30 seconds a minute, he was fresh again, and well, not fresh, but he was still able to get back on the ball and run about. So I think the fitness levels are now starting to really show now with the Celtic players.
Yeah.
Just want to say that point about Johansson's, it's absolutely true. When he's further forward, he's a much more influential player. I think Dyla's Still dying to find somebody. He's still looking to find his key man in the quarterback role. If you
fuck off.
You know, I think he's looking for a key defensive midfielder. He's tried Mulgrew there, and it doesn't work. Johansson certainly doesn't work in there. I think that's key to his system. I think hopefully in January we'll get somebody who can fulfil that role, and I think that'll...
Well, somebody on the bench for that. Beaton. I think Beaton could do that if given the chance. I mean, whenever Beaton's played, he's never had a run of games. He's maybe had one or two maximum.
Well, the other point I was going to make before we even kind of started talking about that role is somebody that I've criticised a lot in the past, but this season I think has been tremendous. Berham Kyle. I mean, every time he's came on the pitch, he's looked great. Again at the weekend, I think he looked good. Louis shaking his head and smiling.
Again, to me, Kyle's one of those guys who, see, because he's making 5 and 10 minute cameos, he looks good. It's like looking at it's like you're looking at a YouTube clip. You know, it's great because he's coming on for 5 minutes. He's coming on when everyone else is really tired, and he's got a burst of energy. And a tip for me, the guy needs to go. I'd get rid of him. I think he's a turd.
Well, I'm not saying he's the solution to the problem, but I think that's harsh. You're talking about judging people on form.
Oh, I can't. Boud, you are talking about 5 and 10 minutes.
Yeah, possibly, but in seasons past, when Kyle came on for 5 or 10 minutes, he looked like a turd. Whereas now, he looks like a good player. So something's changed. Can he play a full 90 minutes? Who knows?
See Berham Kyle. See if Berham Kyle was good enough. Because we at one point in the season we were crying out for the way we're kind of moving, would not necessarily need it as much, but we're crying out for a hard tackling midfielder. I'm talking about when Crip Brown was out. Kyle just didn't step up. The guy, I just despise him. So I'm not the best person to talk about. Yeah. I can't give any sort of opinion. I think the guy, I hate his comments at the end of last season when he said this guy, I'm too good for Scottish football, and Celtic's boring, because fuck off, we don't want you prick.
That's fair enough. Berham Kyle is not too good for anything, but I'm just saying he's looked good this season.
Fucking I'm really angry right now, by the way.
I'd say right now he's up for player of the season so far.
I just fucking hate
it. It was funny what Ciaran said about Beaton being the man to play the role. I would actually say that Berham Kyle's the man to fulfil that role. I think he's key to our chances of winning the Europa League.
I'm close to pulling your microphone out, to be honest. Can we stop talking? Nah, right. Joking aside.
Logic? Should we pull him back? Is he?
Logic's injured. They're talking about him being back for January time, but I don't see any chance of a guy like Logic. I'll just give you a quick. I just want to look over some of the comments, the post-match comments that.
Can I just say, there's no club like Celtic for having shite players that we all want to be impressed by, like Cahill, Berichter, Tom Rogic, whoever the hell he is.
Berget.
Oh, Berget. Just utter shite, but you still have that wee glimmer of hope that he'll be good one day. He'll be good.
Just quite, again, impressed by Dyla's honesty after the Celtic game, after the Dundee game. Just a few quotes. I think it was a poor performance today. In the first half, we didn't press together. Dundee had the ball too much, and we didn't create so many chances. When we have the ball, we need to push forward more. There was too many sideways and backways. I hate passes like that. I do like the fact then again, you also think to yourself, well, you've not been training all week. But we won the game, and the second goal was fantastic. We need to work on when we are up, we continue to attack, and when we continue to press. Then we will hopefully get 3 or 4 goals and not one against. Actually, just on Scott Brown, you can't always talk about Bruni. He was out today, and we need to be a good team without him. That's a good point. He is honest, but it's refreshing honesty, because as we've mentioned before, there's a lot of time, if that was Strachan, they would have said, oh, that's a cracking game of football, cracking game of Scottish football, great advert for the game. Lennon also had a lot of excuses that he kind of trapped out as well, just like all football managers. I'm not actually getting at Lennon, it's most football managers do. Chris, what are your thoughts on that?
Sorry, why doesn't he see the reasons for that? The reasons are he's playing the same players who are performing in the same way a lot of the time.
Yeah.
When we look better, it's because certain players aren't playing. If he starts Commons and he starts Mulgrew in that midfield, we're less, our passes have got less zip to them. We're not as quick. The play's slowed down, and things don't work out as well. So he's being honest, but is he not seeing why that's happening?
It is a terrific point. Maybe it might get to a point where his honesty is actually going to hurt him a little bit.